Hey, it's Jeff Summers with Watch You Know. Today we're going to be checking out the Orient Bambino. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Well, hello. We're going to talk about the dimensions of the watch first. It's a rather large watch. It has a diameter of 42 millimeters, making this fairly large for a dress watch. Now, if you have a small wrist, maybe you don't really want to have such a large dress watch, but for larger people this could very well work out. It's just a gorgeous watch, even from the side, as we see right here. It is 11.8 millimeters high, and we can also see from the back that it says it is water resistant. It's actually water resistant to a depth of 30 meters. Not a dive watch, wouldn't recommend taking it diving, but you could get it wet. Some of the things about the cost cutting of this Orient watch come where they can offer a watch for $150 and they might have to cut some things out, such as a signed crown and sapphire glass, which this does not come with. It uses a mineral crystal glass, which tends to scratch easily, but there again, you can't offer a watch for $150 and have a signed crown and sapphire glass, so they're going to have to make some concessions on that type of thing. As we look here at the watch furthermore, you notice it does have a date on the watch and the Orient logo on top of where it says in all capital letters Orient. It is not gold, it's gold colored. If it was 14 karat gold, there again, or 18 karat gold, it would be much more expensive. But the watch is well built. And another thing that you might notice about it is the second hand. The tip of the second hand is red, which adds some nice flair to the watch. Now, the watch movement is actually a automatic movement, and they use an F6724, which is made at the Orient factory. This is called an in-house movement, which is very rare on something of this price range. Often you would see it on the case back for an automatic movement, but this one here is covered by the screw down case and it is not see-through. Not a big deal. Even Rolex, if you look on the high end of watches, they don't often have a see-through case back, such as the Submariner. It does not. That's a different kind of watch. But this watch, going back to this watch again with its beautiful emerald dial, the craftsmanship, and the movement, as we were just talking about. The F6724, it does offer a few cool things with the movement, and that is it is hand winding and hackable. So what that means is that when you set the watch, if you pull it out to its second position, there are two positions on the watch. If you pull it to the second position, you will find that the second hand stops. And then as far as the winding of the watch goes, you can wind it. It also has a rotor inside, which what the rotor does is it spins, and it allows it spins when you move your arm. It allows for the watch to continue to go ahead and wind up. The watch has a 40-hour power reserve, which is pretty decent for a watch in this price range. Often you'll find you might get a watch around 36 hours. Let's go ahead and show you the hacking. As we pull this out here, you see how that second hand stopped? And what that does is that allows for a more accurate setting of the watch. If you want to set it to the exact second, that is what it does. And then you see me winding it. If you pull the crown out to the first position, you will have the date change. You have to pull it, you have to turn it counterclockwise in order to do that. Some watches you turn it clockwise, but this one counterclockwise. So the last thing that I think I want to talk to you about is the strap. Now, the strap is genuine leather, which, if you know about leather, genuine leather really does not mean, it sounds great, but it doesn't mean that it's super fantastic. It often isn't. And this band is nothing really to write home about. It is green on the backside, which is kind of cool. And you see the Orient name is printed on the back of the band. But the band is pretty big and bulky. It uses a 22 millimeter lug. So, I mean, if you're trying to replace the band, it's a little harder to find replacement than a 20 millimeter, but much better than what used to be offered on Orient watches, which was a 21 millimeter band. Comes in a nice box, and it's a good watch to have. So I wanted to give you an idea of what the Orient Bambino IV looks like on the wrist outside, and it's really an impressive looking watch. If we get into the sun, it might somewhat change color. I mean, pertaining to the different hues of green that we have on the watch and its sunburst dial. It feels really comfortable. You can see how the Orient name is printed there. And also you can see some of the green, because the inside of the band is green while the outside is brown. There are 4 different categories or collections of Orient watches. The first one we're looking at here is their classic, and these have a lot of different variety. One of my favorites is the ETO22, which has a sun and moon dial with red accented Sunday day date. And we will see that right up here. Let's get a real close up. So there you go. Fantastic one, in my opinion. Next, we will go to the Bambino line, which actually they call the Contemporary Classic line. We know that it is the Bambino line because we will see the one we're actually reviewing today come up here right on the right. Let's get a close-up of it, and there it is. Voila. So that's their Bambino line. Next we'll see some sport watches from Orient, which there are a lot of variety as we scroll through here with their sport watches. Some of them kind of represent the Submariner feel from Rolex, but they are Orient and a great value. Finally, we'll move on to the top of the line for Orient is their Orient Star line. These are the most expensive Orient watches, and we'll can zoom in on this one, which is their outdoor watch, their top tier field watch. And that watch has a 50-hour power reserve and anti-glare coating sapphire. The origin of Orient Watch Company dates all the way back to 1901 when Shigeru Yoshida opened a wholesale watch shop called Yoshida Watch Shop, which was outside of Tokyo. The company that Yoshida had eventually merged into Toyo Takai Manufacturing, and the watches were produced at the Hino factory. However, after World War II, the company shut down in 1949. After Toyo Takai Manufacturing was shut down, Yoshida's wristwatch manufacturing company was reborn in 1950, founded under the name Tamakaike Company. Tamakaike Company continued manufacturing watches at the Hino factory. And in 1951, Tamakaike changed its name to Orient Watch Company. And in the same year, the first Orient Star went for sale. The 1960s brought a slew of new Orient models and wristwatch innovations. These included the company's first automatic winding wristwatch, which was the Super Auto in 1962. In 1965, the King Diver 1000 was born, and the Fineness in 1967, which at this time was the thinnest watch in the world, with a movement measuring 3.9 millimeters. In the 1970s, when mechanical watch companies faced hardship from the mass introduction of inexpensive quartz watches, Citizen and Seiko took the path of mass-producing quartz watches. However, Orient stuck with what it did best, making mechanical watches. In 1985, Orient and Seiko established a joint factory. This is important because it established a relationship that definitely lives on today, as Seiko now owns Orient. Over the next several decades, Orient Watch Company grew, reaching new markets, new countries, and new consumers. Today, the Orient Watch Company is famous around the world, with manufacturing facilities in Singapore, South America, and Japan. For over a century, Orient Watch company has been well known and respected within the watchmaking industry.
So what do I think of this watch? Well, there are great aspects to this watch, and there's a few drawbacks. First of all, let's cover the drawbacks. I'll give you 3 things I don't like about the watch and 3 things that I do like about the watch. The first thing that I don't like about the watch is the bulkiness of this band. This leather strap, it's a 22 millimeter strap, and it's pretty short, so it may not fit around some larger wrists. It's just bulky, and I think that if they tapered it, it would have looked a lot nicer. And just another side note, I'm not sure if I'm liking how they write Orient. It would have been cool if they put their Orient symbol there, or just did some kind of, I don't know about that. It looks a little bit too in your face, you know, for the buckle. Maybe you don't think so. I don't. That's nominal, but I do think that the band is too big. Also, I think the size of the watch is a little bit too big. I think that it would have been better looking on most wrists if it was smaller, like a 38 millimeter, maybe a 40 millimeter. Some of the earlier versions, other generations of Orient watches do have the a 40 millimeter size. And finally, the thing I don't like about this watch is that it uses a mineral crystal glass, and with the dome glass, and this watch is a lot of dial. It's kind of like a Bahas style of watch, so you have a lot of the watch is the glass, not much bezel on it, which happens for most dress watches. I don't like that it can scratch so easy. All right, the 3 things that I do like about this watch. One is that you get a watch with an in-house movement. The watch is made entirely at Orient, and that's just an incredible achievement on any watch, really, to have that ability to do at your factory. The watch is you can hand wind it. It is hackable. It has a 40-hour power reserve. It's a great movement. So I like that. Another thing I like about the watch is it is a classic and refined watch, much in the tradition of watchmaking. You wear this and you just can tell that you have something nice on your wrist. It's beautiful in the green with the sunburst color, but the other options are fantastic as well. And the last thing I like about this watch is it's a great value. Purpose of this channel is to bring you a lot of watches that are good values, good bang for the buck, and absolutely this watch fits that bill. This might be the very best value you can get for a dress watch for $150. It is just a remarkable achievement that it is $150. They made a real stunner. So I do recommend the Orient Bambino 4th generation. If your wrist is a little bit on the smaller side, maybe you want to check out the other options like Generation 2, which is another great one. So there you go.
Hey, thanks for watching the video.
If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel.